This is TWiT.
So another day, another monumental data exposing hack. This time, it might be easier to ask who in the U.S. wasn't involved instead of who was. And joining us to talk a little bit about the Equifax hack and their epic breach of security is Ian Thompson from the Register. How's it going, Ian?
It's going pretty well. Then again, I don't work for Equifax, so
yeah,
I just write about.
There's some people having a pretty bad day right now. Well, actually, a lot of people in the U.S. especially are having a bad day, even those that don't work at Equifax. When one of the three major credit reporting companies is breached, you know it's not going to be good. When did this happen, and what kind of information was exposed exactly?
Okay, well, what they've said is around about mid-May, somebody managed to crack one of the applications on their website and use that to worm their way into some of the corporate servers. Now, they do say that the key, credit scores and credit reporting servers weren't breached, and all that they lost was just credit card numbers, social security numbers of about 143 million Americans and an unnamed number of British people and Canadians as well. So relatively small, nothing to worry about, as the CEO would no doubt say. And there's also, so yes, there's a fair amount of stuff gone. Some driving license numbers have gone, and obviously, as you say, Equifax is one of the big three. And the amount of data they hold on Americans and other people around the world is absolutely massive. And it does appear at this point as though the hackers had free rein in there from mid-May until July 29th, when this was discovered, and they managed to shut them down.
Do we have any information on kind of the technical aspects of the breach, what the point of weakness was? There's always a point of weakness that actually allowed someone to get in there and do their digging. Yes,
there always is a point of weakness, and usually it's human. But in this case, it does appear like it was an actual application which was subverted in some way. They've been very light on the technical details. Obviously, they've known about this for some time. They've had the FBI in. And when they made the announcement today, they had a pre-shot video with the CEO saying how sorry he was and doing his Uriah Heep impression. And so, I mean, they've got that side of things done. They're keeping quiet on the technical aspects at the moment, as is usual in these cases, because they don't want to prejudice any criminal investigations, which could be coming down the line later. Although that said, at least 3 executives at Equifax could be facing criminal prosecution, because it now appears that they sold off their shares immediately after the news of the hack broke internally before it was publicly announced.
Wow.
That seems pretty bad.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
That's the polite way to put it. Obviously, I don't want to get taken off air, so I can't say how I'd say it. But allegedly, the chief financial officer sold nearly $1 million worth of Equifax shares 3 days after the hack was discovered internally. Another 2 senior executives are also accused of selling shares and so the 3 of them, I think it's a value of 1.8 million Equifax shares, which got sold off conveniently before this news came out. Wow. Now, it may be that was just coincidence and it was totally above board, and there's nothing at all to worry about. And if you believe that, then I have a bridge to sell you. But
what bridge? Oh, no.
Well, I was thinking to Brooklyn. In fact, it's available at the moment at a very cheap price. All we're asking is a couple of million, and you can take it home with you afterwards. Now, no, I mean, the timing on this looks dodgy as all hell, and I should imagine the SEC will be investigating. Although, given the SEC's recent record, they'll probably just ask for the money back with interest and give them a light tap on the wrist,
right?
As we saw earlier in the week. But yeah, I mean, this is looking about as serious as it gets. 143 million Americans. So that's most of the adult population will have had their social security numbers stolen, possibly their at least, I think it's nearly 300,000, or no, just over 200,000 people have had their credit card data stolen. Another 189,000 people have had documents related to credit, to their credit containing personal information stolen. So, yeah, this is major. I mean, we're discussing in the office. I don't think it would be possible to do a complete reissuing of social security numbers. I wouldn't trust the government to do it. But that's basically what we're talking about. You've got most of the adult social security numbers of Americans. It's a cock-up of monumental proportions.
So they will allow you to go to their website and see if you've been affected. I went there. I have to say I was a little wary.
The form looked weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, plus, you've also got to put the last 6 digits of your social security number in there. And you're like, sort of, hang on a second. Why do I trust you with this?
I know. Yeah, that is. I mean, you could call, they said they would be notifying people by mail. I went ahead and did it. I'm kind of at the state of like, oh my gosh, doesn't everyone have my information at this point? But I went ahead and did it, and it said, looks like you've been affected. But then Jason did it, and others that I know that I've seen on Twitter have said, like, you have to wait 6 days. Your time to be checked is 6 days. I mean, would you recommend that people went and put their information in there to see if they've been affected or not?
I think the website is certainly secure. It would be, company suicide to set up a website to check this stuff, demand personal information, and then have it hacked. I mean, Equifax's relationship would be down the U-bend completely if that happened. So I think you're probably okay in putting your information in there. They do have a dedicated call center set up, and yes, they are sending out mail to those who have been directly affected. They're also, interestingly, offering identity theft protection and credit monitoring to everyone in the United States. Now, it just so happens this is a business that they're in, so they can offer it fairly cheaply. Whether or not you trust it, considering their IT security record, then that's another matter entirely.
Yeah, I mean, we get used to being offered identity theft protection in all of these leaks. It usually follows. It's like, oh, you get a year of and you sign up for it. Should companies be offering more? I mean, how valuable is this? Is that at this point, do you think?
It's pretty valuable. I think one of the worrying trends I've seen over covering this stuff over in the last couple of years, it certainly used to be the case that when there was a big data breach like this, the companies invariably offered you a year's free credit monitoring. But then in the last year, maybe year and a half, I've seen a number of companies admit they got hacked, usually some point of sale infections or something like that. They've lost a colossal amount of data, but they're not offering the identity protection, presumably as a cost-saving measure. We call them out in print when we do that, and I think customers should also call them out for doing that, because basically it's their muck-up, and they need to sort out and provide the tools to make sure that their mistake doesn't end up costing us money.
I mean, so how bad is it? I mean, we're talking about basically with the information, social security numbers, like you said, birth dates, addresses, some driver's licenses.
Yeah.
Basically, everything that you have to turn over when a bank wants you to prove that you're you, or when anyone needs to prove that you're you. I mean, so at this point, really, anyone can just go out and try. If they have this information, they could try to break into anything, and they have all my information. So
this data is an identity thief's best possible scenario. I mean, you've got social security numbers, you've got names, you've got addresses, driver's license details. I mean, this could be incredibly valuable to an identity thief. That said, the authorities are going to be on their guard for a while, but then once people get slightly slacker, then you could start using this to open false bank accounts, set up lines of credit. This is why this credit monitoring service is so important, because given this information, someone could set up any number of credit cards in your name, go on a spending spree, and you'd be left with you probably wouldn't left with the bill because they'd recognize it as fraud, but you'd certainly be left with a hit on your credit score and a not inconsiderable amount of trouble sorting this out. So, I mean, really, this is the holy grail, if you like, of identity theft. They've got everything they need at this point, and banks and companies are going to have to be really on their toes, watching out for this stuff. And this is, as you say, we're having data breaches like this not quite this large, but we're certainly having data breaches on a regular basis now. And we're finding out about them because certain states have actually got laws in place saying that if you lose your customers' data, you should maybe tell them about it, which is essential. But I think if an identity thief who knows what they're doing gets hold of this data, then you really are in trouble unless you're keeping a very, very close watch on your finances.
Man, the idea of like starting over with social security numbers is a crazy thought. I wondered about that in this case. Like when you're talking about that many people and all of their full social security numbers being out there, like that's the kit and caboodle right there. Like that's
exactly.
Intense.
It's a huge number of people. And I don't know whether the government actually has the wherewithal to actually get social security. I mean, the ramifications and complications of that would be insane. But yeah, when you think, I mean, you've got U.S. population's what, 320 million now. Of that, a sizable proportion of children. So yeah, you're looking at easily over half the adults in the US have now basically had their social security number tied into their name and other details, just ripped out and available for anyone who wants to buy from the archive.
We probably should just verify everyone through Facebook at this point because Facebook.
No, Megan, no, no, bad idea.
Facebook claims there's more people on Facebook than there is actually that the census claims. So, I mean, it seems right to me.
Yeah, but there are also a fair number of fake Facebook accounts. I mean, I know some people who've got 2 or 3 Facebook accounts. You know, they use for different purposes. One for dating, one for work, one for personal, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I saw that Facebook data as well, and I was kind of like, right, okay. We have this thing called the U.S. Census Bureau. You know, I don't know if Mark Zuckerberg's heard about it, but you know, generally they do fairly good testing on how many people are around.
All right. Well, undoubtedly, we're going to hear more about this whole Equifax thing. I'm very curious to see. I mean, we already know early results on Wall Street have not been good, and man,
shares down 13%.
Wow.